So welcome to Absolute Classic Rock, Richie Sambora.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
How's it feel to be in the UK?
Awesome. Feels like home.
Does it?
It feels like home to me, yeah. I think this is one of my favorite places in the world, without a doubt. And I'm just not blowing smoke.
Yes.
I love it here.
We believe you.
You should.
So, you're now on your third solo album.
Yeah.
But this is the bit. It's the first solo album in 14 years.
That's right.
Why the long gap?
Well, you know, I mean, over the last decade, the band has obviously been very, very busy, very successful. You know, our achievements it's been unbelievable. I mean, such a blessing. And at the same time, you know, I was going through my own personal ups and downs. Nothing, you know, I mean, basically, you know, stuff that happens to human beings. Except while all of this stuff was kind of happening, I had one of the biggest rock and roll bands on the planet, and I was in the glare of the media. So juggling all of that at the same time and being a single dad and doing all that stuff, I mean, it just was, had a very busy decade internally, you know what I mean?
You had quite a tough time emotionally.
Well, I don't know, you know, it was up and down.
Right.
It was, you know, and it was nothing, you know, I mean, this new record, Aftermath of the Lowdown, was kind of like, you know, just going through my stuff, and what I found, like searching through my own stuff, it's like everybody's stuff. You know, I think as a songwriter, in my career as a songwriter, I've had a knack for writing about my own life experience, about my own perception or something like that, and it becomes, the ripple effect becomes everybody's story. It becomes the backdrop or the soundtrack of a lot of people's lives. And then, you know, I mean, I've seen this firsthand. I mean, the last tour I did with Bon Jovi was 52 countries, 18 and a half months. And I've been doing this for like 30 years now. What I've seen is that music is probably the most connective, evocative, transformative force in the universe. You know, I mean, I sit there in my room and write a song, or in a hotel room and write a song, and the ripple effect happens all over the world. You know, so I mean, that's in effect what I wanted to do with this record, and you know, kind of like digging up my own stuff. I'm like talking about everybody, really.
But it is quite personal, even though it can relate to other people.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
And
there was
the title as well, The Lowdown. Is that, you know, the last 10 years, and this is what's you now?
Well, you know, the Aftermath of the Lowdown to me, when you give somebody the lowdown, you're kind of telling them the truth, right? And when you tell somebody the truth, there's always an aftermath. That it could be good, could be bad. And for me, I think the songs were about telling the truth. Because obviously everybody's heard the stories in the funny papers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no sense in not talking about it, you know. So I just said, well, yeah, sure. Let's you know, it was I guess an artistic choice to be vulnerable in that state of mind, you know.
So even though it's quite an emotional album, you'd expect a lot of ballads and downbeat songs, but it's actually really triumphant and upbeat, a lot of it.
Absolutely. It's all about coming out on the other side of adversity, man. You know, it's you know, after you go through all that stuff, you know, there's freedom there. There's triumph, and it's actually a celebratory record, man. It's like a new beginning. I mean, this record, specifically for me, it doesn't sound like anything I've done in the past. So it's like a brand new evolution. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound like any of my other two solo records, and it certainly doesn't sound like Bon Jovi. You know, it's interesting because when I took the material into the studio, I assembled my band, a bunch of great musicians, and I said to them, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get in the studio and we're going to take this music and we're going to play music like we were 16 years old again in our mother's basements or our mother's garages, because I want to take the quote-unquote business of music out of the equation, and we're going to organically, authentically make music together, like a musical kind of dialogue together. And as you know, on this record I left some extended jamming on this record, you know, and that's why I kind of picked up the guitar to play in the first place, you know. But I think there's also a lot of great songs on this record, so I think there's a little something for everybody.
I mentioned on Twitter you were coming in today. I asked people if they had any questions. Lily Lydon says, what's the difference between writing with John and writing for a solo album? Oh,
big difference. Obviously, writing with John is an amalgamation of both our energies, our influences. You know, although we grew up very, very close to each other, we both grew up listening to different styles of music. And, you know, I guess when I write with John, I'd like to call it a healthy debate.
That's being polite.
You know, no, it's true, because, you know, it's like, and you know, I obviously give good band. I've been in the same band for like 30 years, and we've been quite successful, obviously. And but John is essentially the mouthpiece. So he's going to interpret a lyric, and he's going to not want to sing. He's not going to want to say certain things where, you know, I probably would be maybe a little bit more risque, or maybe I'm in a different place in my life than he is. So I'll write about different stuff and sing different stuff. So John being the mouthpiece of that, we write for him to sing these songs to the masses, you know. And when you do a solo record, I'm the lead singer. I get to tell my stories, so it's a completely different energy.
And you're the boss, so you can pretty much decide everything.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that was the interesting thing about this record. Also, I really was, at this stage of my career, artistic freedom is of the essence. It's the most important thing to me, and being authentic. I think, you know, what am I going to do? Am I going to like try to make another Bon Jovi record? I already do that. I can't do that. And what am I going to do? Like leave out a song on this record like You Can Only Get So High, which is about some of the substance abuse problems that I was battling with? Of course not. I would have been remiss to do that. That's my authenticity. And it's an important part of, you know, telling my story. So, and I think there's a lot of people that have gone through the same stuff I do. So, you know.
And you enjoyed doing the vocals as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was a lead singer in every band I was in before Bon Jovi. So, it's like I said, this record was, even though it was evolving forward, it was interesting, ironically, coming back to my roots.
Yeah, you got a full loop, really.
Yeah, because, you know, I mean, I tried to make music, like, you know, when I got turned on to music, I was listening to Led Zeppelin and Cream and Jimi Hendrix and guys that were jamming and emotionally playing their instruments and having a dialogue with the other musicians. And that's in essence what I got back to on this record. I mean, I think I played more guitar on this record than I've played in the last 3 Bon Jovi records collectively. And obviously, singing all the vocals, and it's a lot of fun, man, and taking it out live has just been fantastic. So yeah, having a blast, man.
Yeah, you got the tour. The most popular question on Twitter by far was, why just the one date in the UK, and when are you coming back?
You know, my God, I wanted to play more, and there was no place available for me to play. Are
you kidding me?
I swear to God, man, I was looking at other places. You know, last time I was here, I played 2 nights at Shepherd's Bush, so I thought for sure, but it wasn't available. So I was looking for other places, and, you know, right now there's just no other place. Wow. Everybody's busy.
So do you think you'll be coming back here soon?
I hope so. I'd love to. You know, I mean, you know, I'm having a blast with this, I gotta tell you. I mean, it's, you know, having the individual stuff away from the band. And the band record's already done.
Yeah.
Now, we already finished that one. That's given me the opportunity to actually go out on the road and do this tour right now. So, you know, I'm kind of like freed up to make my own way at this point.
Karen Privet asks, how are you finding being the front man after such a long time between solo tours?
I'm having more fun with my clothes on than I've had in a long, long time. Yeah. I've done 4 shows so far, and I swear to God, it's amongst some of the most fun and most satisfying times of my life on stage. And also too, it's like, you know, people are relating to my music besides the Bon Jovi stuff. You know what I mean? And I play a couple Bon Jovi songs, but I twist them up in my own way.
Which ones do you play?
It depends on the evening. I'm basically reading the audience.
Oh, so you just go with the flow?
Oh, yeah. Let's go. I got a great bunch of musicians in my band, and the same guys who played on this record, and they're all masters at their craft, and I just kind of throw stuff at them, and they just kind of respond.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It is a lot of fun. And I think that, you know, the audience sees us having a good time and really some kind of like really intense jamming, and that's what's been getting the audiences more engaged, I think.
And coming to the album then, obviously you've got the single, Every Road Leads Home to You.
Yes.
Are there any other tracks on the album you'd like to recommend that really stand out to you?
Man, you know, I mean, this is one of those records where I like all the tracks. I mean, right off the bat, I think Burn the Candle Down, the first track on the record, is something that I just really wanted to kick people in the teeth with.
It's quite an angry track.
It's a barn burner, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a barn burner. It's really kind of it's really weird because I started writing that song almost as really like a kind of an all-night kind of sex song, like let's burn the candle down. But then there was all these protests and everything kind of happening all over the world, and I was starting to think, hey man, there's a little bit of anger out there, and like they were kind of burning their own candle down, so I kind of put that in there, and it became a little bit angry in a way, and I think that gave it its edge. And then I just decided to leave those extended solo and breaks that seemed very, very furious, and I It's one of my favorite tracks on the record.
It's
Yeah.
a brilliant album opener, isn't it? The first thing you're going to hear is this.
Well, I thought that it would kind of surprise people. It was interesting because I've been working with an independent record label in America, and they were going around playing the record for people and not telling them who it was.
Okay.
And when, you know, these kind of hipsters and all these other kind of indie people were going like, they couldn't believe it was me once they heard that opening track. Yeah, it was pretty surprising to them. Great response, yeah.
You wrote one for your daughter. Is that the one where you saw a photograph, I'll always walk beside you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, it was probably at the end of the writing cycle where I kind of was spent emotionally. I kind of covered all the bases that I had in my heart, I guess, at that point. And I actually was at home and I was about to write. And I went into my daughter's room to get a pen, to grab one of her pens to actually write with. And I gave her this picture of her and I when she was a little girl, when she was about 3 years old. And we were walking down my hometown street together. And I wrote on it, "I will walk beside you forever, love, Dad." And I was having a hard time conjuring up what to write about that day. And I said, well, there's the title.
Yeah.
And then it wrote itself, you know.
Yeah,
but then again, you know, like I said, I have a knack for writing these songs that are very personal to me. I mean, that's a song that if you were either getting married or you were with your, you know, romantic significant other or something like that, that would be a song that you would turn on and it would be appropriate.
Yes.
Once again, you know.
I like Nowadays because I like fast songs.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that one about?
That, you know, that is born out of, once again, me touring the world as extensively as I have and feeling the undercurrent of all these different cultures of what's happening. And it was written from the point of the observer and about what I was feeling were happening nowadays with, you know, the protests on Wall Street and, you know, the economic unrest that's happening all over the world, and just people just going, are you my friend? Are you my enemy? What's happening? What's going on nowadays? There's all these different energies. And I was covering stylistically. I was in a kind of a punk band when I was in my late teens and early 20s called the Screamin' Mimes in New York City. I was playing CBGBs and playing Great Gildersleeves and places like that. And so I kind of added that energy to the record. And it was interesting, like, stylistically on this record, I think I cover a lot of bases, but a lot of times when you try to do that as an artist, it doesn't come off authentic. It comes off like you're trying to do it. And on this particular record, I wore it very comfortably. So Nowadays is one of my favorite songs. It's been going over like gangbusters live. People love it too.
Yeah, you can definitely hear it. It's not contrived. It's all
it's just really kind of, you know, from the writing process on into the recording studio and now onto the live stage. It's been a very, very authentic, organic kind of process where we're all not kind of trying too hard, but it's really coming out really great.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of cool.
Was Paul McCartney involved in the album?
No, but Rusty Anderson, his guitar player, I needed kind of like a, almost, I guess, an understudy, because while I was co-producing the record and standing in a control room, much like this when the musicians were out there, and I didn't do any pre-production. So I was kind of standing with my co-producer, Luke Eben, in the studio, kind of teaching the band the songs in the studio, and I needed another guitar player to play some of the rhythm parts. So, yeah, Rusty was my guy. And so now he's actually back with Paul. So he's not on the road with me, but all the other musicians are. But I have a wonderful other guitar player. His name is David Ryan Harris, and he played Ronnie Scott's last night. He did a wonderful job, and I jumped up, and we had a great time over at Ronnie Scott's. And so he's in the band now, so he's doing an amazing job.
But the audience had a bit of a treat there. They weren't expecting that.
It was cool, man. We had a really good time. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah.